John Salley to jump against Brad Daugherty. Georgia Tech in gold, North Carolina in white, and Joe Wolf comes down with the first possession of the ball game and drops it off for Kenny Smith. He's guarded by Mark Price.
Georgia Tech has played an awful lot of man-to-man defense in the tournament. They're starting the afternoon that same way.
Hale lost possession, and Mark Price comes up with a loose ball. He or Dalrymple always seem to for Georgia Tech. This is Scott Petway to Joseph. Salley in the lane. He's fouled before he got the shot. The basket will not count.
North Carolina opening up in a man-to-man defense, very similar to the defense they used against State yesterday. Kind of a soft man-to-man, only coming out and playing hard on the man with the ball.
Joe Wolf committed the personal foul. North Carolina throughout the year has had a lot of foul trouble, but they have a deep enough bench to handle it. Joseph kicks it back to Dalrymple, a key to today's game, and his first shot, an air ball. He's got to be a little tight at the start.
Bruce Dalrymple's been shooting very well this year at the Omni. Does too well on the first one, but Brad Daugherty from the free throw line. Tough when the big guy goes that far away from the basket for the shot.
The junior from Black Mountain, North Carolina, averaging 17.3 points a game, makes it a 2-0 North Carolina advantage. Dalrymple running the offense. Nice screen by Price. And Salley got the ball, but he couldn't hold it. Daugherty after the good save by Dave Popson. This is Joe Wolf. Bobby Grimmin standing with his hands at his sides at the Georgia Tech bench. Daugherty against Joseph. Nice matchup inside. Daugherty leads into one, short. Joseph with a rebound. Good defense, Jeff.
Very good defense by Joseph. He held his ground, didn't jump in, went straight up. Good play.
Try to bounce pass inside. It's kicked by Joe Wolf out to Georgia Tech, and they'll recycle the shot clock at 45. Kenny Smith with a tough defensive job. He is on Mark Price right now.
Georgia Tech early in the game trying to go inside. You remember the last time these two teams met in the Omni. Salley very successful going towards the basket and causing some foul trouble for North Carolina.
Georgia Tech won both regular season games, 66-62 and 67-62. Bad pass by Joseph. It's picked off by Carolina. Kenny Smith on the run. Petway tried to bother his jump shot and didn't do it. Kenny Smith knocks it down 4-0 North Carolina.
Great concentration by Kenny Smith that time. Petway came from behind, got a hand up. He kind of hung a little bit extra long, but he followed through on the shot.
Now the Georgia Tech crowd comes to its feet. Carolina has switched to his own. Look out for Price.
You can rest assured in this zone, they want to know where Mark Price is all the time, and that's the one guy they'll come out and challenge on the perimeter.
Joseph with a 15-footer short. Salley keeps it alive. Price tries to save, can't get to it. Into press row, and the ball will go to North Carolina. And Georgia Tech looks just a little bit wound tight at the start.
Well, we talked about how sharp they've looked in the first two games, but it's very difficult to sustain that sharpness when you get a little bit tired. We get a look at the
Georgia. Loses it again. Price, it's a 1-on-3, and he'll pull up for the jumper, and even Mark Price misses the opening shot, but he got it back for the follow. Won't go again. Tech needs a basket just to get rid of the butterfly. Hale, Dalrymple trying to come over on him, and Hale finally got it to Daugherty. 6-0 North Carolina.
I tell you, they ought to give Steve Hale 1 point for every basket the inside guys get for Carolina, because he makes some great passes, and he's always looking to make that pass into the big guys.
Daugherty, who has played so well, has 4 points on 2 out of 2. Salley's jumper is good, and Georgia Tech gets on the board at 16:45.
Big basket by John Salley, and a smart move by Georgia Tech going inside. When you need a basket, that's the place to go.
He's the #1 field goal shooter in the league, #3 in the country. Daugherty trying to make it 6 points, doesn't do it, and there's Dalrymple on the boards again. Salley stripped by Hale, and he stepped on the end line. Both officials there to call it. Hale takes the ball away as much as anybody.
Perhaps the best defensive guard in the league, and Steve Hale again blocking the shot down low, swatting it away, almost saved it. Good defense, quick hands.
Joseph looking inside side for Salley. This is Petway and now to Price. Price has been a terror in his last few games. Bombs away, spun out on him. He won't miss many. Here is Hale trying to go all the way. As Price went to the floor, Price got bumped in there somehow and spun to the ground, and Hale has his first two. It's an 8-2 Carolina lead.
John Salley was there to bother Steve Hale, but his teammate went flying in front of him, and he just kind of backed off because he didn't want anybody to get hurt.
Can you imagine Bobby Crimmins holding his breath as he sees Price go down? Georgia Tech only with 8 people in uniform. Joseph, nice cross-court pass to Price, working on Hale, and Hale will be called for the personal. Hale is one of the great players in the country at drawing charges. We have our first time out of the ball game.
You know, it has to start somewhere.
That's
Might
right.
just be here today.
Jeff, you had talked earlier with me before we went on the air about the first 5 minutes in this game being the toughest part because your energy level is so high.
Absolutely. In a championship game, your anxiety really burns up a lot of energy. I always needed a blow early in a championship game. Of course, Georgia Tech can't afford many blows for their team.
Daugherty over Joseph. Nice offensive move by Brad Daugherty. He has 6 points, and it's 10-2 North Carolina.
And that move shows the development of Brad Daugherty. That was a great one-on-one move, and notice how quick he got the shot out of his hand because Joseph was right there to bother.
Petway around a double screen, did not take the shot. Dalrymple low to John Salley. Nice fake, and he's fouled by Warren Martin, who checks in for the first time, and Martin may have got hit in the face. Warren went down very, very hard. He's into the ballgame for the first time.
Well, this is what Georgia Tech needs to do. Great pump fake by Salley. Martin goes up, makes the contact, tries to get the shot off, but he'll get 2 free throws. I can't overemphasize enough when you need a hoop, Mike, you've got to go inside, go to your big people, and that's what Georgia Tech's done.
Salley will go to the line for a couple of free throws. A 63% shooter on the year. This has been one of the problems for Georgia Tech. Outside of Price and Dalrymple, they've had some problems, and Salley misses the first one. You better believe every point in this game will be critical. Second one is good by John Salley. It's 10-3, and here comes pressure.
After the made free throw, Georgia Tech in a 1-3-1 trapping zone pressure defense with John Salley out front.
Barely beats a 10-second count to get it to Wolf. He missed it. Warren Martin tipped it in. Good follow by Warren Martin. He has his first 2, and it's 12-3, and that's the price you pay for a press that doesn't work.
And particularly with John Salley out in the backcourt, and Yvonne Joseph looked like he bumped his knee. He's limping, and Bobby Crimmins has Antoine Ford going in the game for Yvonne Joseph.
Joseph will come out hobbling. And remember that Dwayne Farrell is already hurt and out. And Bobby Crimmins asked Joseph how it is, and he's got Antoine Ford, the freshman 7-footer, in there. Price to Petway. Price gets it back away against Kenny Smith. Leans into a tough one. It won't go. Daugherty had his hands on it, then lost it, and it's out to Georgia Tech. Out to North Carolina, excuse me.
Good defense that time by Kenny Smith. Mark Price really put his head down going to the basket. Had to shoot a tough shot.
Price, who has really been burning it up lately, 0 for 4 in the early going here. Daugherty, guarded by Salley now, as Ford will be on Warren Martin. And Martin got away from it and scored. Antoine Ford just lost him.
Ford trying to front him on one side, and North Carolina does such a great job of leading the big men away from the defense. Nice shot by Warren Martin.
What a start for Carolina, 14-3. Price low to Petway on Wolf, back to Price. Dalrymple, good pass inside to Salley over Daugherty, and John Salley has been the offense. He has all 5 points for Georgia Tech.
Good play by Bruce Dalrymple that time. He had the outside jumper, but again preferred to go down inside to Salley. Salley really doing it for his team early.
This is Daugherty way outside, low to Warren Martin. Little jump hook in the lane, it's short. Ford gets the rebound ahead to Dalrymple. Tech would like to run. Carolina back in a hurry on defense, and Dalrymple will pull it up. Petway played very well yesterday as he started. Scott Petway will not score many points for you, but he will not make many mistakes either.
And he can hit the outside shot when he's open.
Salley with a tough shot, got the bounce, and John Salley has 7 points. All 7 in fact.
And you talk about development. John Salley, we already mentioned Brad Daugherty. Salley started at 6'7", then 6'9", 7 feet. but he's also matured as a skilled player also.
Pass across the lane, knocked away by Ford, picked off by Price. This is the tempo Tech would like. Price tried to get Kenny Smith off his feet, couldn't do it. Dean Smith up off his feet, he wanted a traveling call. 14-7, North Carolina with 12.5 minutes to go first half. ACC Championship game. Dalrymple inside, I think it's goaltending on Warren Martin. And it is.
Great drive to the hoop by Bruce Dalrymple that time. Really put his head down. You'll see Steve Hale trying to get position. Dalrymple keeps going, jumps by him. The ball is on the glass. Warren Martin called for goaltending.
Von Joseph, we understand, has a bruised calf and will be back in the ballgame. Daugherty, nice fake, but Salley cut him off. Sally's done a good job since he's been on Brad's order. Pass underneath through the hands of Joe Wolf and out of bounds, and you can feel the momentum shift.
Yes, you can, and Brad Daugherty made a great pass that time. Joe Wolf just wasn't looking because he was wide open under the basket.
Ford comes out of the ball game, and Von Joseph is back in there. North Carolina has now turned the ball over 4 times. Georgia Tech 3. Buzz Peterson will check in for Carolina at the first opportunity. It's 14-9. That's 6 straight points for Georgia Tech. They were down 14-3.
Georgia Tech, Mark Price against the Carolina zone. Went through to the corner. He was wide open. Big basket for Georgia Tech.
Kenny Smith rejected by Salley, and it will be goaltending on this end. And the Georgia Tech bench comes up in mass. Right here at 16-11, North Carolina after a big early lead. Georgia Tech seems to have collected itself a little bit. Tech has hit its last 4 shots.
Buzz Peterson in for North Carolina. They've got at the guard position to replace Steve Hale. As you can see, they're trapping. Got to look at the field goal percentage of both teams.
Price, who missed his first 4, hit his last shot, trying to work for another one, leans into one, drew the foul. The shot will not go. He'll get the foul on Kenny Smith, and this will send Price to the free throw line, where he has hit 51 of his last 53 and was 14 for 14 yesterday. That's about as close to a lock as you can get.
And I continue to be amazed at the play of Mark Price. He's getting smarter and smarter, always under control. That move he just made very reminiscent of Gail Goodrich, the great player at UCLA. Used to get players up off their feet, draw the contact, always able to get their shots off. And of course, Gail was a great free throw shooter also.
Price is Mr. Everything for Georgia Tech. The #1 all-time player in steals, #2 in assists, #3 in scoring. Been a brilliant player in his 3 seasons in Atlanta. 16-13. Tech closes within 3. Joe Wolf to Kenny Smith. This is Buzz Peterson in for the first time. Back to Wolf. Daugherty, nice move, got by Salley, and Warren Martin threw him the nice pass. That's 8 for Brad Daugherty.
And Warren Martin with a great lead pass. John Salley had perfect position. The ball was just too high. Couldn't get a hand on it.
18-13 Carolina. Hale will come back in for the Tar Heels, the first chance. And Curtis Hunter will be coming in for the first time. Von Joseph hasn't had the ball much inside yet.
Georgia Tech very patient on offense against the North Carolina zone.
Dalrymple to Price. Credit Bruce Dalrymple with a lot of that. He made the zone defense come to him and was looking for Price all the time.
One way to beat the zone is to penetrate. Good tie up in the corner.
Dalrymple and Price tied up Buzz Peterson. Jump ball situation, and the possession arrow will give the ball to Georgia Tech.
And here's Mark Price again. His savvy sees an opportunity to double team in the corner. Bruce Dalrymple with the tie-up.
He and Price and Dalrymple have done such a wonderful job for this ball club. You've never seen 2 guards go at it as hard as they possibly can. Price with a great move, then couldn't get the shot. Carolina helped out very well on defense. Salley back to Petway. It's 18-15. Tech could cut it to 1 here. Petway open. Now he'll take a 14-footer. Won't go. And Daugherty takes it away from Warren Martin.
Brad Daugherty really becoming a force in rebounding. Led the conference in rebounding, but he's getting stronger each game as the season goes on.
3 boards for him early. Peterson after a nice head fake missed the shot. Hunter kept it alive. And Von Joseph called for the foul against Curtis Hunter.
Buzz Peterson with a good pump fake, gets his man up, then he shoots not a good shot. Buzz, a very good shooter. You can see the foul from behind Yvonne Joseph. Only his first foul.
And that's only the first team foul against Georgia Tech. Peterson again, that nice little pump fake. Left him wide open for the jumper, and it's 20 to 15.
Tells you something about Buzz Peterson. A lot of players wouldn't want to shoot that quick again. Almost the identical move. He buried the second one.
Dalrymple to Salley. Joseph wants the ball inside. Price bombs away again and got it again. Mark Price has found the hot hand. He has 8 points. It's 20 to 17. And isn't he a pretty jump shooter?
Almost like a layup from him out there when he's open.
Hale guarded very closely. They wanted a 5-second count and didn't get it. Bobby Crimmins holding up 5 fingers. Daugherty to the baseline, all the way underneath, but he stepped out of bounds as he passed to Curtis Hunter.
Georgia Tech defense very good the last 2 times down the floor. They made Brad Daugherty dribble, which he didn't want to do. He eventually turned it over, and North Carolina with 6 turnovers already in the game.
20 to 17, North Carolina over Georgia Tech. 8.5 minutes to go. Dalrymple goes so high, may have been partially blocked in there. Here comes Hale in a hurry to Peterson. Pull-up jumper. Wouldn't go down for him, and Salley back to Price. Look at this tempo. Price, his turn to pull it up. Missed this one. Petway, long rebound. And he'll bring it back out. Good play by Petway. Nice pass from Price to Joseph. Loose ball, foul Dalrymple. And he knew it.
Here's the pass from Mark Price into Joseph. You'll watch, there's the guy always around the ball, Bruce Dalrymple. Last time these 2 teams played, he killed North Carolina on the offensive boards. North Carolina doing a good job of containing him today.
Kenny Smith back into the ball game as Peterson goes out. Martin looking for Smith on the backboard. Petway at least stopped the layup, but committed the personal foul. That will be number 1 on Petway. 3rd team foul against Tech. Carolina has committed 4 here in the first half.
Here's Warren Martin. This kind of play broke open the state game yesterday. Kenny Smith going backdoor. Petway comes to help. You saw the contact. Kenny Smith a little upset with himself. Would have liked to make that shot.
Kenny Smith is shooting 86.5% from the line. He is number 2 on the Carolina team. Steve Hale shooting over 87%. Hale is better than the school single-season record set by York Larisi. Kenny Smith is 0.3% behind that record. Needs to hit the rest of the shots he gets probably this season in order to break that record. Hits that one.
He's a terrific young man. You know, there's a lot of good backcourts around the country, but I can't think of a more complimentary one than Mark Price and Bruce Dalrymple. They complement each other so well.
Price gets it to Petway. Here's the trapping North Carolina defense. At the end of the game, we'll be picking a Holly Farms player of the game from each school. Joseph hit that shot very well yesterday.
You know, I'm impressed with Yvonne Joseph of being able to hit the big shot. We've seen him a couple times at the free throw line near the end of a game. He's a pressure player, and he's a pretty good 15-foot jump shooter, as we saw that time.
22 to 19. Martin way outside with Joseph on him. Wolf almost lost it, trying to save. Gets it back into Hale against Petway. Now Kenny Smith with Hunter with Dalrymple on him. Carolina so very patient. I've never seen her rush anything, although Hale might have forced that one a little bit. They'll call a personal foul against Georgia Tech. Bobby Crimmins really upset about it. The foul will go against Petway. That's his second.
North Carolina had really searched the Georgia Tech defense. You see, Steve, a little bit of a push there. Then Petway goes straight up. Not much contact, but the foul was called.
Petway picks up his second. And Hale, the best free throw shooter on the Carolina team and the best free throw shooter on either one of these clubs at 87.4%, goes to the line. Hale's another one of those players that never seems to get enough credit because he's such an excellent defensive player. He can hit the big shot for you and doesn't seem to make many mistakes with it.
I think he's kind of the glue on this Carolina team. He's the kind of guy that puts the puzzle together. He's a coach on the floor. You know, a little bit of trivia. These teams both have a backcourt junior from Oklahoma, Price and Hale, and a backcourt sophomore from New York City, Kenny Smith and Bruce Dalrymple.
Right now it's 24-19. North Carolina's lead is 5. They have led by as much as 11 very early in the game. Got off to a great start. Joseph again with a 15-footer, and it's blocked by Warren Martin. Daugherty comes out with great defense by Martin.
North Carolina that time was in a boxing one. Kenny Smith, man-to-man on Mark Price. They were zoning the rest of the players. Good defense for North Carolina.
Hale looking inside, gives it to Daugherty. Georgia Tech really hustling on defense. Hale got away from Petway. Short on the jumper. Warren Martin with the offensive rebound. Back to Kenny Smith. Boy, he's a tough jump shooter, too.
Yeah, he's a great jump shooter, and let's give credit to Warren Martin. That was a big swing. Blocks the shot on one end of the court. Keeps the offensive rebound alive for Kenny Smith to score 2.
26-19. Carolina back by 7. Price running around a screen into the corner. Nice pass inside, and the shot is no good by Joseph, but he draws the foul. Warren Martin nods his head. And it is on Warren Martin, his second person, and the 6th team foul against Carolina.
And we're getting a look at one of the luxuries Dean Smith has that Bobby Cremens does not, and that is depth on the bench. Warren Martin goes out to get a blow. Yvonne Joseph went out for a moment, but only because he was injured. John Salley, Mark Price, Bruce Dalrymple, Scott Petway have yet to come out of the game for a blow.
Joseph, free throw is good. Correction on the team fouls for Carolina. They only have 5. Warren Martin with 2, Kenny Smith, Steve Hale, and Joe Wolf 1 apiece. Joseph free throw hits again. 26-21. Yvonne Joseph in with 4. And once again, the full court press. Brad Daugherty bring it across the timeline.
Against the press, North Carolina keeps some big people back there because they're easy to receive the pass. Brad Daugherty very patient.
Ball tipped away inside, got it back, tipped away again. Out to Dalrymple from Salley, ahead to Price. Banked it up, wouldn't go. Joseph had his hands on it and lost it. Out to Kenny Smith, looking around for some help. Petway picks him up. Daugherty to Hale. Blocked by Salley. Rebound to Wolf. Thompson just had his shot slapped back out. Well, Salley get up on defense.
John Salley, one of the best shot blockers in the league, without question. Showed why that time.
74 blocks on the year for John Salley, breaking his own school record. Smith trying to get away from Price. Hale to Daugherty. What a great ball. Shot wouldn't go. Tipped in. Dave Popson.
Great effort by Popson on the board that time. He waited till the ball got off the rim, but it wasn't far off, and tipped it right back in.
28-21 as Popson has his first field goal. Carolina, of course, with 6 points off the bench. Georgia Tech has not gone to its bench yet.
Well, we've talked about the North Carolina bench. One thing that is in Georgia Tech's favor as this first half winds down, none of their big people are in serious foul trouble. Petway has 2, but Salley and Joseph have played without foul trouble.
Here's a push on Daugherty. Of course, Antoine Ford has been in the ball game briefly, but has not scored.
Steve Hale again. Nice shot by Brad Daugherty, but it won't hang. It comes off the rim. Dave Popson above everybody else. Great ball control.
That was the 6th team foul as Daugherty picks up his first, and Warren Martin is back in. Wolf checks out. Petway telling his team what he wants him to do. 28-21, a 7-point margin, 4 minutes to go, first half. Salley. Got it low now, double team by 2 Giants. Off the Price. Mark Price, 10 points.
He's everywhere, and if he's open momentarily after the first few misses, he's been burying it. Got to be a little frustrating for Georgia Tech because they've been playing good defense, but twice in the last minute or so, Georgia Tech's got a second shot effort, and of course, you don't want to give them second shots, and they've scored both times.
Wolf as Price slapped at it, and they called him for either 3 seconds or a travel. 3-second violation called against Carolina. That's a turnover that will give the ball to Georgia Tech when we...
The offensive boards that Carolina has gotten back and converted to baskets. North Carolina, on the other hand, has committed 8 turnovers. But we heard Dean Smith yesterday, Mike. He said, you know, I know when I play with a bigger lineup that I'm going to sacrifice an edge in turnovers. But he said that's a price I'm willing to pay. I can see why.
Price Price gets it to Petway. 3 minutes, 9 seconds to go first half. 5-point margin, and Dalrymple, I think, was caught between trying to go up for that and thinking, well, that's got to be for somebody else. Well, he couldn't throw that to me.
He might have thought that Carolina had deflected it, too, because it flew so high. But for whatever reason, he let it go, and it's Carolina's basketball.
And now Georgia Tech goes to a zone. Daugherty had it taken away. Dalrymple's loose ball now picked up by Hale. You talked about frustration. There's another kind of thing that can frustrate.
I was just thinking the same thing. When you're trying to come back and things don't go right. But I'll tell you, this Georgia Tech team keeps battling. They got a lot of guts.
They've proven that all year. Hale over the zone. Got it. Now, is this zone, do you think, used by Bobby Crimmins, let his players rest a little bit?
Well, I think perhaps to do that, but also to try and keep the ball out of the middle and make North Carolina beat them from the outside. But, of course, if Steve Hale hits a few of those, they might have to change the strategy.
Hale has 6 now, and it's 30-23. Carolina with 2 minutes, 12 seconds to go. Scott Petway looks to Bobby Crimmins on the sideline for what play he'd like. Price to Dalrymple, inside to Salley. Double team, banged it up, wouldn't go. Daugherty, another rebound. 5 rebounds for Brad Daugherty. Here's the double team, loose ball. Carolina got it again. Hale into the lane. Shot won't go. Daugherty kept it alive. Dalrymple to Joseph. Now here's Price. Will he pull up? Yes, sir. And missed the shot. Joseph, what a follow. Bodies everywhere. 3 players on the floor. Kenny Smith trying to make a break for it, then held up. Boy, Joseph sideways when he tipped that one.
And you love to see your big guys race down the floor. Coaches preach that. Don't trot back. And boy, he really did that time to get a big tip in for Georgia Tech.
30-25. That was a big basket. A lot of pushing and shoving inside, especially with Hale and Dalrymple, who got tangled up. Bad pass picked off by Salley ahead to Petway. Back to Price. Joseph fakes the shot. Carolina by 5 as Price calls out signals with 56 seconds left. Petway missed it, got his own rebound, followed, partially blocked. Joseph hustles it down in the corner. Georgia Tech could hold it for the last shot. Only a 2-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock.
Bobby Crimmins sticks one finger up, says, let's take the last shot, go into the locker room, hopefully only down 3, but at least we'll be able to control the ball.
Petway, they don't want the ball to get into Price's hands, and right now Kenny Smith trying to deny him the ball. But that's tough. Down to 17 seconds. Usually like to start the offense around 10. Here's the double team. Price straight down the lane off to Joseph. Joseph fouled by Warren Martin. Great play by Mark Price.
That's great guard play. Boy, 2 Carolina guys came out to double team him. He went right straight to the basket. I really thought he was going to shoot, but he had great floor vision and hit the bigger man, Yvonne Joseph. Look at this. Watch this floor vision. Didn't even look over that way. A great lead pass. Warren Martin gallantly goes up to try and block it. He's called for the foul. That's 3 fouls on Warren Martin.
And this will send Joseph to the free throw line. Buzz Peterson will check in for the last 9 seconds. So Carolina will get the ball back. They're already up 30-25. Joseph has a chance to cut it. Yvonne with 6 points and 2 out of 2 from the free throw line. 71% shooter on the year from the line. He's always had that nice soft touch. You imagine where this young man would be in his basketball career right now if he had played anything more than 4 years ago.
Well, you think the way that he's picked up the fundamentals. His shot is very basic, very sound. Whoever started him out, even though he started late, gave him good basics.
5 seconds to go. Petway, good defense, kicked it out of bounds with 4 seconds left. It's 30-27. Carolina by 3. Remember, they led by as many as 11 early. Kenny Smith with Price and Dalrymple on it. They took it away. They'll call a foul with 2 seconds to go. And boy, is Bobby Crimmins steamed.
I think Bobby Crimmins is upset with the call, but perhaps a little frustrated too, because they had Kenny Smith in a bad situation here. They didn't have to bother the ball. Bruce Dalrymple slapped it away. I don't believe he could have gotten off much of a shot there.
And that's number 2 on Bruce Dalrymple. Picks it up with 2 seconds left. And now Dean Smith dropping everybody back as Kenny Smith will go to the free throw line. And Smith is 2 for 2 this afternoon. Martinson will come in for Georgia Tech, and that will put Dalrymple on the bench so he can't pick up his third. Hunter comes in for Carolina. Pressing all the buttons are not Dean Smith and Bobby Crimmins. Kenny Smith's free throw, good. I'll get another. Smith, Hale, Price, they're just about automatic when they go to the line.
Talk about every edge when it comes to winning. And we talk about Carolina's size, their depth, but their free throw edge is dramatic too. As a team, they hit almost 77% from the free throw line, and of course their two best ball handlers, two of the best in the country.
Try to get it up to Price off his fingertips, out of bounds. That will end the first half. And Georgia Tech, Price, Joseph, and Salley have carried the load. They have 25 of the 27 points. Carolina with the basketball as we start the second half. A couple of Georgia Tech people were saying to me at halftime, Jeff, that their team right now is very, very tired, and you can understand why.
I think they certainly should be tired, but you know, one thing I keep coming back to, big shot by Steve Hale, the fact that they made it through the first half without either of their big people in foul trouble, so that means they can play all out inside. It could be important to them as the half wears on.
It is 34-27. Carolina by 7. Their biggest lead has been 11. And here is a foul on Kenny Smith as he was fighting through a screen or holding Mark Price, one or the other. And that will be number 2 on Kenny Smith. And here is something to keep in mind, especially if you're a Georgia Tech fan. 4 out of the last 5 years, the team that was behind at the half came back to win this championship.
Very
I'm sure that's something Bobby Crimmins may have mentioned to his team at halftime. Petway after a nice pass. The shot partially blocked by Warren Martin. We have another jump ball situation. This time the possession clock goes to whom? Now they're saying it is Georgia Tech's ball on that alternating possession.
Mike, John Martinson is in for Georgia Tech. After the first play down the floor, Bobby Crimmins took Bruce Dalrymple out of the game. I think he just wants to talk to him. I don't see him acting like he's injured or anything, but Dalrymple only with 1 basket the first half after a superb tournament thus far.
Petway gets it to Price, now to Martinson, the freshman, who was a backup to Kenny Smith for 3 years in high school, played behind him. Salley, turnaround jumper, partially blocked. The foul will be called on Daugherty, I believe.
When they've needed a basket, the guy to go to today has been John Salley. He gets the ball inside, good position. Steve Hale almost with a steal. Daugherty didn't jump in, but he made a little contact, and Salley will get 2 free throws.
That's 2 on Brad Daugherty. Martinson has gone to the bench, and Dalrymple is back out. Jeff, I think that was exactly what Bobby Crimmins did. He wanted to show him something. Salley at the line, 7 points, 1 of 2, and misses another big free throw here.
I think Bobby wanted to talk to him. If you remember the first possession for Carolina, Steve Hale got wide open. And, of course, he buried that jump shot. And I think Bobby wanted to talk to him about how to guard Hale and what he needed to do.
Salley hits the second free throw. He has 8 points. It's 34-28. And here is the Georgia Tech pressure. Carolina handles the ball very well and beats it.
We get to see the whole floor from up top. We get a look at the Georgia Tech defense. They're really overplaying passing lanes, trying to play good, tough man-to-man defense.
This is Hale, tried to get it inside to Martin, picked off. Avant Joseph lost the handle on it and saved it in the corner. Good play by Joseph ahead to Price, who wants to push it up, and now he'll wait for the big center from Cap Haitian Haiti to get in position.
You can hear a buzz among the crowd. They recognize this is a key possession for Georgia Tech.
Daugherty kicked the bounce pass, and it will go out to Georgia Tech. They recycle the shot clock to 45. Petway trying to inbound, having trouble, loops it into Salley, and that will be 5 seconds. And one of the reasons is that little looping pass, the count continues until it touches a player.
That's right, and you know, we talked about the frustration of Georgia Tech. Every time they've had an opportunity to pull a little closer, something has happened. Either something North Carolina has done on their offensive end or a turnover, as we saw that time.
This is Brad Daugherty with Joseph out with Hale, guarded by Dalrymple. Salley knocks another pass away, and here comes Price. Has to pull up. He's so smart. If the opportunity isn't there, he brings it back.
That was not an easy move to pull up either, Mike. You know, he really planted that pivot foot so that he didn't travel.
Stopped on a dime, didn't he? Dalrymple with a nice fake into the lane. Double pump. Wouldn't go for him. Tough break for Dalrymple. Kenny Smith hustles it back into the front court. Price is right there. Martin. Back to Smith. Price amazingly quick on defense because Kenny Smith is lightning quick, and Dalrymple reached in, committed the personal foul. That will be number 3 on Bruce Dalrymple.
And that's the first foul trouble perhaps that Georgia Tech might have. Dalrymple, a very active player, comes over to try and knock the ball away, and he says, I didn't do anything, but of course the referee caught him.
First team foul against Georgia Tech here in the second half. Carolina has committed 2. Notice how the Carolina players almost always hold the ball over their head. It's tougher to steal up there.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's something that all of them do, and they're so big, and they get such a good look at the floor as we saw that time.
Hale tries a tough shot. Joseph gets the rebound. 34-28, 6-point margin. Petway wanted Salley inside, but Salley covered up pretty well by Joe Wolf and Martin on a double team. This is the iron 5 for Georgia Tech. Joseph, ball knocked away by Warren Martin, out to Georgia Tech. Martin has quick hands.
Warren Martin just does a little bit of everything to get the job done, and he surprises you every time.
Salley had Joseph open for a second, but didn't pass him the ball. And now Dalrymple brings it back outside. Now the shot clock is down to 10 seconds now. That out-of-bounds play did not recycle the clock. Salley, nice fake over Daugherty. Jumper won't go. Martin rebound.
All of a sudden, I sense a little reluctance on the part of Georgia Tech to take the open shot. They're working hard, but except for Mark Price.
Daugherty's jumper won't go. We've got a foul inside. I believe it's on John Salley, and it is. That's only 1 on John Salley, and he was the player I think they were most concerned about for foul trouble, because if he goes out, who do you play at that powered forward spot? Antoine Ford, not really suited to that.
No, he isn't, and John Salley has really come on as one of the real super players in our league. Georgia Tech could ill afford to lose him. He's done a great job defensively, and of course stayed out of foul trouble.
Daugherty, another one of those excellent Carolina free throw shooters, has 9 points. That was his first try at the line. He's shooting almost 75% on the season. And there you see, he made the All-Atlantic Coast Conference first team this year, as did Mark Price. Free throw is good. Georgia Tech and Bobby Crimmins trying to do it today. Right now they're down by 8, 36-28. Price sees the double team and goes for help. Petway with a 3-on-1 situation. Dalrymple double pump on Daugherty. Won't go. Petway tipped it in.
Big basket for Georgia Tech. Mike, you know, you win championships with defense, and one thing North Carolina has really done this tournament, they held Wake Forest Kenny Green to 0 points in the second half. Spud Webb had a great first half last night, got 1 point in the second half. Mark Price has yet to score here in the second half. So they really do come out and play good, tough defense in the second half.
Hale low to Warren Martin. Petway took it away from it. Georgia Tech can really use a couple of turnovers to get back in this ballgame, and now Petway dribbled it out of bounds after a little contact, and Bobby Crimmins up crying for a foul. He wanted one there.
One of the few times. Here comes Petway from the blind side to knock the ball away.
Here's another loose ball, and Georgia Tech hustles it back to the other end of the court. They're down by 6. Inside to Salley. Double team. Goes under for Martin. Blocked. Saved by Salley, but Hale's got it. These are big possessions here. And the crowd really up and in arms.
You know, they're not used to seeing John Salley get his shot blocked. They thought it might have been a foul. Good inside pass to Wolf.
And Joe Wolf with that little turnaround jump shot. Wolf, his first 2 points in the ball game, and it's 38-30. And Jeff, you said this a couple of times. Every time Georgia Tech seems to get close, Carolina just pulls away with a little more room.
And North Carolina can beat you so many ways. Here's a great player like Joe Wolf, first score today, and yet he's the guy that beat Wake Forest the other night with some outstanding play. So they got so many talented players that can hurt you.
Price with Kenny Smith on it. Low to Avon Joseph, wheels into the lane, jump hook won't go. Dalrymple with a follow.
That's Bruce Dalrymple at his best, and if he can get that kind of game going, it'll be a big lift.
Daugherty in the lane, shot won't go. Warren Martin with a rebound, and he's fouled.
Warren Martin with the great effort to get down court and follow up on the rebound. Here's Joe Wolf with the drive. Excellent pass inside. Salley arms straight up. And there's Warren Martin, and there we get a look at the foul by John Salley.
Non-shooting foul. Second foul of the ball game on John Salley. 13 foul against Tech during the second half. Carolina's committed only 2. And here is a foul, offensive foul on North Carolina. And the foul will go on Joe Wolf, setting a screen that moved ever so slightly.
And I think give credit to Bruce Dalrymple that time. He was running through that screen, and I think Joe had to move to really set an effective screen.
You're hearing the Georgia Tech fans. They're on their feet. 38-32. Their team down by 6 with 13:48 to go. Price, nice fake, got away, got it. What a tough shot by Clark Price.
That's just a great one-on-one move, and Kenny Smith is not an easy player to beat. But a big basket. Georgia Tech had 3 tries to get within 4. They finally succeeded.
Mark Price has 12 points, the leading scorer on the floor. The chant is defense. The ball knocked away. Price down on the floor, ties up Wolf and comes out with it. Price ahead to Dalrymple against Smith. It's blocked, and Price got the loose ball. Holy cow, Mark Price is really turning it on. And what defense by Kenny Smith.
Great defense from behind. Bruce Dalrymple strong going to the basket. Not used to having his shot blocked.
Dalrymple with a jumper. It's a 2-point game. 38-36. Hold on to your seat.
Bruce Dalrymple has come alive for Georgia Tech. 2 baskets out of the last 3.
Smith wheeling on. Price gets it to Hale. Now to Daugherty. Carolina never seems rattled. They just take their time. Smith got by Price this time. May have traveled. No blocking foul. Called inside. And it's Yvonne Joseph. Yes, it is. Or Dalrymple.
I think they called it on Bruce Dalrymple, and that would be his 4th foul.
It is on Dalrymple, and it is number 4. And now Dalrymple and Georgia Tech in trouble. This is Jack Mansell coming in, and Dalrymple will have to come out, and this is a blow for Georgia Tech.
Certainly is, and we have to give credit to Kenny Smith. He sensed the time to go for a key basket. He was going one-on-one that time. He didn't score, but he created a different situation. That is foul trouble.
Hale has the ball inside, trying to go up and pass, and had it knocked away and picked off by Salley. Georgia Tech down by 2. They have a chance to tie.
Steve Hale uncharacteristically has had a tough second half. I believe that's his 3rd turnover.
Only a couple of scorers out there for Georgia Tech. Price and Salley, really the only 2 guys they will go to right now. Here's the turnover story. 15-7. Something Georgia Tech has to do. Salley to Petway, now to Price. Tough pass, and it's picked off by Hale. Price all over. Crowd, the Carolina crowd wanted a foul there and didn't get it.
You know, that turnover occurred because what you said, Mike, they were so anxious to get the ball to Mark Price because they have very few scorers. Here's another offensive screen on 24 from North Carolina. Joe Wolf, that's 2 in a row. Well, I think the road from Chapel Hill was probably pretty hot last night. As I said, the losers are going home and selling their tickets.
Probably had some full campers on the way down there.
And of course, you get some cross loyalty. Some schools that after their team's out, they don't like another school. There's the alley-oop.
Great pass, and that play was set up in the timeout. And that was Bobby Crimmon's wife showing her delight. It is tied at 38. Great pass inside.
And great strategy from the Brett bench because they needed a basket, and that's the easiest way to do it.
And they had not run that play the entire game. Backdoor to Kenny Smith. He lost it out of bounds. Georgia Tech has made a big comeback in this game.
Kenny Smith went backdoor the other day. You'll watch him set Mark Price up for the backdoor, but Price didn't leave him too open. It was a tough pass to handle.
Oh, what a quick first step by Kenny Smith. 9 turnovers by North Carolina. Price misses the jump shot. Salley trying to keep it alive, but it went off his knee out of bounds. Here are the statistics. Carolina obviously not doing as well in the second half, and Georgia Tech's really turned it around.
You know, know, one thing I've always thought in championship games that field goal percentage is going to suffer, and that's what we're seeing a little bit. Both these teams shoot well over 50% for the season.
Here's a loose ball, knocked out of bounds, but it will be a foul on Mark Price. That is only his first. We're tied at 38 with 10:38 left.
Mark Price coming in to help out as soon as the ball goes inside. You know, early in his career, a lot of people say, well, can he guard anybody in this league? But I'll tell you, he's a tough defender.
He can now guard everybody in this league. When you see him play man-to-man against Johnny Dawkins and Kenny Smith, you know he's quick.
That's right.
Dalrymple is back in the ballgame, and we conjectured during the timeout that Bobby Crimmins could not afford to let him sit on that bench very long.
Well, if there's a matchup that would allow Dalrymple to stay in here, of course, it's Steve Hale, because Steve is such a team player, he's not going to try and go one-on-one.
Warren Martin, little double pump, got Salley in the air and scored. Big bucket by Warren Martin, who has 6 this afternoon. It's 40-38. Carolina back on top.
Warren Martin has gotten a lot of big buckets for North Carolina this season. That was just a good move and a great pump fake.
Dalrymple looking inside, instead goes to Price, back to Bruce Dalrymple. His jumper won't go, but he has the rebound. Double pump, won't go again. Loose ball, Steve Hale has it. A couple of tough shots, it just wouldn't go.
Great defense by North Carolina, because Bruce Dalrymple followed his shot as he does so well, but he had trouble shooting over the taller Tar Heels.
The cheers are all the Carolina fans on their feet. Warren Martin. Kenny Smith to Hale. Again, Martin, who wants the ball inside. Back to Hale against Dalrymple. Now Martin again. Loose ball. Price comes out with it. It's a 3-on-1. Price goes to Dalrymple, and Dalrymple fouled by Steve Hale. Hale thought he had the steal. I was surprised that Price gave that ball up.
He gave it up a little too soon, and we almost saw a real defensive gem. Petway playing a great defensive game. Knocks the ball away. Mark Price should have kept it one more step, but watch Steve Hale. The only thing he could do, and he almost got away with it, and it would have been a real defensive gem.
That's number 2 on Hale, a non-shooting foul, the 5th team foul against North Carolina. And Curtis Hunter will check in for Dean Smith, and Joe Wolf will come out. A little more speed.
Actually, you know, that was a defensive gem when you think about it, because Georgia Tech had a 2-on-1 fast break, and now they got to start all over 5-on-5.
Here's Salley inside, missed the basket, but I believe Warren Martin will pick up the foul, and that will be number 4 on Warren Martin, who gives it that quizzical hook.
I'll tell you, that was a great move to the basket by John Salley. He just spun to his right, and then he went way above the rim. All you could do was foul him.
Wolf comes in, and Warren Martin will have to go out with those 4 fouls. And now Salley will go to the line where he is 2 out of 4 and where he has had his problems. If he makes both, he can tie it. Made the first one.
John Salley, still not a great free throw shooter, but has really improved. I remember him as a freshman, and I remember watching Bobby Crimmins stay after practice and work with him as a freshman, and now he's a pretty good free throw shooter.
Salley has 12 points. We're tied again at 40. 9:15 left to go in the ball game for the title. Salley gambled. Wolf got it. Back to Kenny Smith. Georgia Tech covered up pretty well, but here's Hunter open. Out of Hale. Into the lane. Tough shot by Hale. Hunter kept it alive and comes out with it. Good play by Curtis Hunter. Daugherty. Oh, that was not a good shot by Brad Daugherty. And Carolina gets a break as it goes off out of bounds against Georgia Tech. Really surprised at Daugherty for taking that shot.
Brad Daugherty, 2 players around him went up. You see a lot of contact, but the Georgia Tech players did not initiate it. I thought that was a good no call.
They inbound to Wolf. Tied at 40, 8:52 left. Daugherty with Joseph on it. Wolf. Kenny Smith from outside. What an excellent shooter Kenny Smith is.
And what a pressure player Kenny Smith is. North Carolina with a smaller team on the floor now with Curtis Hunter in there. They can play a little quicker, and they can also play a little bit more pressure defense.
Kenny Smith has averaged 17 points a game in this tournament. Petway to Dalrymple. They want to get Price. He goes low to Joseph. Wheels into the lane. Won't go. Joseph with his own rebound, and he missed the follow shot. Oh, late foul.
Great second effort by Yvonne Joseph. Joseph couldn't get it to go. North Carolina captures the rebound.
Smith looks inside for Wolf. Wolf over Salley. Jump hook. Oh, what a great shot by Joe Wolf.
And Joe Wolf really wanted the basketball that time. He was fighting for position. That was a tough shot. Bobby Cremins wants a timeout.
And that's later in this ball game. Carolina's turned it over 18 times to 12 for Georgia Tech so far.
You have to wonder whether both coaches talked about, hey, after the last timeout, Georgia Tech had the alley-oop pass. Let's be aware of it.
See what they might have set up for this. Salley to Joseph. Two of the big men outside, trying to open up that middle a little bit, I think.
North Carolina in a man-to-man defense, but again, it's a very passive man-to-man, trying to keep the ball out of the middle. They're not really coming out and challenging the shooters, except for Mark Price.
Shot clock is down to 8 seconds. Somebody's got to get rid of it. And Dalrymple, tough shot over 2 players, and he buried it.
Big shot by Bruce Dalrymple. He knew time was about expired. Steve Hale with excellent defensive position. Georgia Tech within 2.
Dalrymple has 8, and it's 44-42. That last play is the kind of thing that just shows you that athletic ability. When you have to get it done, you get it done. Hale looks to Kenny Smith. Carolina by 2. Hale banked it up, wouldn't go. Dalrymple with a long rebound. Georgia Tech trying to run. Cross court for Petway. Tough pass. Low to Salley. Nice move by Salley. Got around Daugherty, but Daugherty still blocked the shot. What a defensive play by Brad Daugherty.
That's 2 of them. John Salley, one of the premier big men inside, and he can really jump. Brad Daugherty with great hands on top of the ball. Nothing was called.
Hunter to Kenny Smith. Low to Daugherty. Turns on Joseph and buried it.
You know, that's one of the toughest shots in basketball, that little 10-foot baseline shot, but we've seen North Carolina 2 in a row, one from Joe Wolf, then one from Brad Daugherty.
Daugherty now has 12, and it's a 4-point lead again for Carolina, 46-42.
North Carolina in a 1-3-1 zone now.
Petway is open. Gets it to Price. Long jumper won't go. Joseph rebound in the lane. Follow. Got it. Big shot for Avon Joseph. And we're down to 5:27. They'll all get big now, won't they?
They will. And of course, let's not forget free throws. North Carolina, one of the premier free throw shooting teams in the country.
Kenny Smith to Daugherty. A 2-point lead for the Tar Heels. Daugherty and Joseph bumping inside. Wolf trying to create something. This is Daugherty again against Joseph, trying to square up, leans into one. Shot will not go. They will call the foul on Avon Joseph.
North Carolina does such a good job of moving their people. Brad Daugherty lays the ball on the floor, but nobody there to help out. He draws the foul, and of course, 2 shots.
Martin is back in. He's playing with 4 personals, as is Bruce Dalrymple. And Daugherty, who is 2 out of 2 for the line, will go back. Chance to increase his team's lead. Got the first one.
Such an advantage when your big guy can shoot from the outside. We've seen a couple outside jumpers, and of course, he's almost a 75% free throw shooter.
Free throw good again by Daugherty. The last set of statistics that I saw before this tournament started, Carolina was #1 in the country in field goal percentage, #3 in the country in free throw percentage. They've been so tough. The lead is 4. 4 minutes, 39 seconds to go in the ballgame. Dalrymple, big shot.
Bruce Dalrymple has really come alive in the second half.
Got 10 points, 8 of them here in the second half at the Omni. It's 48-46. Every play just becomes so critical now.
Again, I'll go back. Watch the North Carolina players. The ball up over their head, searching the defense. Steve Hale with a pass inside to Warren Martin.
Martin has to go cross court. They work the ball for 28 seconds. And still very patiently looking for the shot. Wolf, that jump hook, his favorite. Won't go. Rebound goes to Salley. Tech with another chance to tie it up.
Scott Petway, only about 6'6", was matched up on Joe Wolf, but he did an excellent defensive job. Joe's shot just a little short.
Let's see who gets this shot that could tie it. Dalrymple looks low to Avon Joseph. Double teamed in the lane. He's fouled. Could have been Hale or Daugherty, and it is Hale. It's number 3 on the junior from Jenks, Oklahoma.
Nice move by Joseph that time. So many times we see big guys travel in a situation like that. He made a move to the basket, kept his feet on the ground. Steve Hale came to help out and drew the foul.
Dean Smith, who has won 10 Atlantic Coast Conference tournaments, 9 in the last 18 years. Won his last one in '82. Avon Joseph, 4 out of 4 from the line, 10 points on the day. He has only scored 2 here in the second half. This could tie it again if he hits both. Got the roll.
Nice soft touch by Avon Joseph. In some of the games I've done this year, I can remember him on the free throw line in pressure situations. He does a good job for Georgia Tech.
Yes, he does. Free throw good again.
You know, we've talked about fatigue for Georgia Tech, and certainly it's a factor. But, you know, North Carolina's backcourt, Kenny Smith and Steve Hale, haven't been out of the ball game very much. Those two guys have to be a little weary. Dean has rested his bigger people more than Georgia Tech has.
48-48, 3 minutes, 21 seconds, and counting for the ACC Championship and the automatic bid to the NCAA. They pull it back outside to set it up again. This is Daugherty, guarded by Avon Joseph. Shot clock at 15 seconds. Hale with a chance to drive, brings it back outside to 10. The clock is at 10. Kenny Smith, low to Martin, had it knocked away. 5 seconds on the shot clock, and Kenny Smith had to throw up a prayer. That was great defense by Georgia Tech. And Mark Price knew that clock was running down, too.
Mark Price, excellent defense, went up with Kenny Smith. Kenny wasn't even close. Georgia Tech with the ball and a chance to take the lead.
Dalrymple looking inside to Salley. 2 minutes, 33 seconds left, tied at 48. Petway had a 15-footer, thought better of it. Dalrymple, tough shot, won't go. Fight for the rebound. And Daugherty goes down. He's traveled. Now that was a tough call to make for the officials underneath because there were bodies everywhere.
Yeah, we were kind of screened out. Here's the shot. Carolina, good box out inside. Joe Wolf and Brad Daugherty. Petway, you can't tell whether he was pushed into Brad Daugherty, but traveling was called. Let's see what happens with Petway. Carolina doing a good job boxing out. No, actually it was all his momentum that knocked Brad Daugherty down.
Tough break for Carolina. This is Price. It won't go. Warren Martin with a rebound. Georgia Tech had the chance right there, and they got it in the hands of the guy they wanted, and the shot would not fall.
I saw Mark Price give a little grimace. He knew that was the shot they wanted, but I'll tell you something about Mark Price. He'll be ready to take it again in a minute if he gets that shot.
1 minute, 57 seconds to go in the title game. Steve Hale got by himself. Now they got to find Wolf again. Here's Joseph knocking one away, and Avon Joseph had it, and then Martin got it. A good break for Carolina.
Steve Hale really trying to get the ball inside, has had a tough afternoon.
Kenny Smith penetrating, shot won't go, and we've got a foul against Georgia Tech, and Smith went down hard. And it's on Avon Joseph.
You know, I've been kind of sensing Kenny Smith wanted to kind of take over, and he saw an opportunity to go one-on-one. Joseph sliding over as Smith goes up, called for the foul.
And Mr. Automatic will go to the free throw line with a chance to put Carolina back on top again. Smith with 12 points in the game, 4 out of 4 from the line.
One of the great things about Kenny Smith is the way he does control his great ability. He'll let the other guys play. But a couple times this afternoon in the second half, I could sense that he knew his team needed a basket, and he was going to make it happen. That's one of them.
North Carolina 49, Georgia Tech 48. 1 minute, 38 seconds left. Got them both. 6 for 6 from the line for Kenny Smith. Georgia Tech needs a bucket here to tie with 1:35 to go in the ballgame.
North Carolina now in a 1-3-1 zone.
Price at the baseline. Daugherty came out on.
Daugherty knows from the corner that he needs to come out on Mark Price.
Price won't go. Rebound to Salley, and the foul shot is good by John Salley.
One of the reasons that happened, Brad Daugherty came out to block Mark Price. John Salley had an open lane to the basket. What a great rebound basket.
They're on the edge of their seats at the Omni. 1 minute even left in the championship game, tied at 50. Knocked away by Joseph, and he stole it, and he's fouled by Joe Wolf. Oh, what a big play. Great steal by Joseph.
I can't say enough about the Georgia Tech defense. They're really putting pressure on the ball. Joseph in front had to make a great effort, and then he went up to keep it alive. The foul was called. He'll shoot 1 and 1. Joseph is a 71% free throw shooter.
But today, he is 6 out of 6 from the line, and we have both seen him go to the line and hit the big shots.
And we talk about championship free throw shooting. North Carolina 12 for 12. Georgia Tech 12 for 14, and they now have their first lead of the ball game.
Joseph could make it a 2-point lead with 52 seconds left. Well, if you're going to finish the ACC season, this is the way to do it. Second one, no good, but Salley with a rebound. Back to Joseph, he'll give it off to Price, and I'll bet Mark Price won't give it up unless he has to. Georgia Tech cannot hold it the whole time. There is a 7-second difference. Is Bobby Crimmins going to call a timeout soon here?
There are 28 seconds to go on the shot clock. 31 in the game.
Price holding on to the ball. Georgia Tech will have to shoot again. Price going down the lane all the way, and he's fouled. And it looked like Warren Martin, and that will be number 5 on Warren Martin. And Dean Smith reacts to seeing Martin foul out of the ball game, and to Mark Price going to the free throw line.
Mark Price, very heady, goes between two big guys. He wasn't going to shoot it, but he was able to draw the foul.
Price will go to the line. He is 2 for 2 today. That is 21 straight, 53 of his last 55. Curtis Hunter is coming in for the fouled out Warren Martin. And Mark Price, with 22 seconds left, could give Georgia Tech a 3-point lead.
Mark Price, a superior ball handler. This place will get quiet now.
Just like practice.
What a competitor he is.
I don't know if he's got butterflies, but I do. What a great finish to this ball. Hit them both. Georgia Tech wants a timeout. Buzz Peterson is in for North Carolina as Dean Smith wants a little bit more shooting ability.
Mark Price really guarding Kenny Smith. They want to make it a little difficult for North Carolina to bring the ball up the floor.
Smith goes to the baseline, takes a jumper, and hits it with 14 seconds left in the game. We are now down to 1 point again, 53-52. Here's the story, 14 seconds to go. Georgia Tech by 1 over North Carolina. Tech will be inbounding the ball as we come back. Georgia Tech wants to get the ball to Mark Price, and Carolina wants desperately to keep him from getting it.
I'm sure that was the strategy. Mark Price will want the basketball. He's that kind of competitor. But I'm sure Dean Smith is saying, look, let's make sure that Price doesn't handle the ball. North Carolina wants a timeout to look at the offensive pattern or setup from Georgia Tech.
Take a look at the last shot. Kenny Smith hit it. You knew Kenny Smith was going to make this basket, didn't you?
Steve Hale got it up quickly. Bobby Crimmins did not want them to be able to score this quick. Petway did the right thing, though. They couldn't afford to foul. Very quick basket for North Carolina, giving them 14 seconds to get the ball back and make something happen. That was the first field goal for North Carolina since the 6-minute mark.
And for Kenny Smith, 16 points. He is the leading scorer for North Carolina. Brad Daugherty has 14, the only 2 players in double figures. For Georgia Tech, 4 players in double figures. Price and Salley with 14, Joseph with 13, Dalrymple with 10, but then that's the way they played all year long until Dwayne Farrell got hurt. They had 5 men who were averaging more than 10 points.
And of course, we should mention Georgia Tech just under 70% free throw shooting team for the season. Mark Price, of course, is the guy that Carolina doesn't want to foul. After that, Petway, of course, has not played a lot. He's a 71% free throw shooter, but he hasn't been to the line many times in pressure situations. So North Carolina, I'm sure, has discussed that, planned their strategy, and they'll do everything they can to keep the ball out of Price's hands.
Today, however, as you pointed out earlier, Georgia Tech has been tremendous from the free throw line. 15 out of 18. Carolina's nothing but perfect.
That's really championship shooting right there, because a lot of times in a championship game, that rim looks a little smaller and that ball can feel very square. But these two teams have really played great basketball.
Salley will inbound.
North Carolina with a much smaller team. Buzz Peterson in there, Curtis Hunter.
On Price. They get it to Petway. Petway back to Price. Price double team, trying to get it up court to Joseph. Joseph gets it off to Mark Price. 14. The clock has not been running. The clock was not running at all. Do you believe that? The clock did not run the entire time, and they must have used. I thought Yvonne Joseph was fouled in the backcourt. Carolina tried to foul him, but apparently it wasn't quite obvious enough, and Price will go back to the free throw line, where he has been perfect. Yesterday, he hit 14 out of 14. He's now hit 23 in a row. Now they set it back to 8 seconds. And I believe that's a couple of ticks more than it ought to be. Price hits the free throw. Had a little rim on that one, but got it in.
For the young people at home, Bobby Cremins holds his heart. I think everybody else thinks he's designing a play, but
Price hits them both. A three-point lead, 55-52. Long pass down court, intercepted by Dalrymple. And Mark Price is down on his knees, clutching his head in emotion. And Scott Petway comes over to hug him. I think it just struck him what they've been able to do.
I'll tell you, these guys, what a battle it's been. They had to be the underdog today because of fatigue and because of injury. But I'll tell you, it's been a great effort from both teams.
Bobby Cremins not letting himself smile yet.
Bobby Cremins, a young coach, obviously had some short-range and long-range goals for his program, but I believe he's probably a little bit ahead of them right now.
55-52, 2 seconds left. Dalrymple will go to the line to shoot a free throw. It is academic at this point, a three-point margin. All Georgia Tech has got to avoid doing is fouling. Dalrymple hits the free throw, and he hears the cheers of the crowd. And now Bobby Cremins has let himself smile for the first time. And there are hugs and handshakes and high fives along the Georgia Tech bench. 2 seconds left, 5-point margin. The pass to Daugherty, he lays it in at the buzzer, and Georgia Tech has knocked off North Carolina, and the coaching staffs come together at midcourt, and Dean Smith, and that always with that show of class, goes over and shakes hands with Bobby Cremins. George Felton, one of the assistant coaches, over to shake hands with Warren Martin.